Hello and welcome to the all-new ThyGap podcast. A brand new Thursday comes to a brand new episode of ThyGap podcast. This is me being Brute, and with me is
Bogus Noog.
Bogus. What a great day.
Yep.
What a great day. We have not even slept today. It was amazing just to sit and chat with you, get bored for 7 hours straight.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Amazing. Because today, Bogus, why I have said that context? Because I'm a professional podcaster. I don't do anything without a reason.
Right.
The topic of today, of the world famous template, it's not easy.
Yes.
Cultivating friendship.
Ooh.
Cultivating friendship. The excitement in your voice suggests the excitement we have towards today's episode.
Yep.
Two extremely pally people
Right.
to other people,
Yep.
not to each other, but other people, talking about cultivating friendship.
Yeah.
If this is not the science of God, what is?
What is?
I'll tell you what is the science of God. The award-winning socials of ThyGap, Bogus.
Yay.
You keep forgetting that. So quickly, let's run through the social handles. On Instagram, we are at
@_ThyGap.
Twitter and Vero.
@ThyGap.
And if somebody wants to write a mail to us,
MindThyGap@gmail.com.
award-winning socials on the science of gods. Please, everybody.
Yeah. And Brute, this week's topic is a slightly touchy topic. And it's also a very relevant topic.
Like emotionally touchy, not like physically touchy.
No. Just emotionally.
just to be sure.
Yeah.
Just to tell the world out there that we are not gender fluid or stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a very relevant topic for men today.
Oh,
And,
so we are gender specific.
yeah. I mean, the English podcast itself is.
Yeah.
But the reason why we picked this topic is it came directly from one of our Twitter DMs. We want to keep that person anonymous for this episode.
Yes, but we have to tell that he has a Twitter handle.
Yes.
And it's a he.
Yes. So in the DM, this person mentioned to us that I wish I had people like you to talk to.
Oh.
And this is coming from listening to a bunch of our English podcast episodes.
Right.
And this is what they said. Basically, it talks about the longing for like-minded people to have a conversation with, kindred spirits, etc., etc.
Correct.
And so we figured,
Like a typical professional podcaster, we figured a topic.
this is a topic for a new episode. Thanks. Your job is done.
This is where, Bogus, I want to tell all our audience that we technically don't have to do this episode.
Yep.
If you have heard all the previous episodes of ThyGap, you can make out that if two unlike-minded people can run a podcast,
Yep.
you can definitely have friends
Yes.
who are not like-minded.
Yes.
And you saw an opportunity of a topic of conversation. I saw a revenue channel to that one writer
Yeah.
who wrote this message to us asking, mentioning that I wish I had people like you to talk.
Yeah.
You can. It just costs you very few bucks. I'm telling you, it is an amazing revenue opportunity.
Yeah, but shout out to that person
Shout out without really shouting out his name.
without mentioning their name.
Yeah.
Because
Our Twitter follower.
because it is a relevant, question.
It's a
They
relevant
asked.
Gen Z question.
Yeah.
If I have to be specific. So, Bogus, like we always do, we have given the context of why we came to this topic,
Right.
which is so unlike us, by the way.
Yeah.
We do a lot of stuff for no reason.
Yeah.
I just hope that people don't realize it yet. But let us give a proper context on
As
from
we
where
do.
are we always
Yeah.
going to talk about, why we are talking about it. So, hit it off. It's not easy cultivating friendship.
Yeah. So in terms of context, the reason why we used cultivating
Yeah.
itself is because
Because we are like so poor that we can only relate with farmers. And we can only use that kind of vocabulary or nomenclature. So, yeah.
exactly. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan.
Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. Yeah. I have one amazing one in Telugu also, but I'm not sure if everybody will get it.
Go ahead.
తెలుగు వీర లేవరా చెంబు పట్టుకెళ్ళరా
Oh, wow.
చెట్టు చాటుని వెళ్ళి పని సాధించుకోరా.
But that's a solitary activity.
It
we're
is a
talking
solitary
about.
act. It's not like unity in
take your
diversity.
friends and go.
No.
Yeah.
It's solitude.
Yeah. That's sort of more relevant to our bathroom incubators
Oh
episode.
yeah, I was actually listening
Check
to that
it out.
episode and share.
And share, yeah.
I was actually listening to that episode today morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a piece of art according to me.
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody has ever looked at a bathroom like the way we did.
It's like we're giving out gold for free.
Absolutely.
So yeah, back
Yeah.
to the context.
So back to the context, Bogus, let me set out the stage for you.
Yeah. Why we said cultivating is because we very deliberately used that agricultural term. Because in agriculture, the term cultivation implies a time-taking process.
Yeah.
That you have to be constantly engaged with.
Correct.
It's not something that runs on autopilot.
Correct.
Agriculture is something that farmers, because they're at the mercy of so many external factors,
Correct.
they hedge their bets
Yeah.
on the land. So they have a primary crop, and when it's off season for that crop, they already have another secondary crop that they've already planned
Yeah.
to use in that time.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating process. I mean, we mentioned this in our previous episode, patience is not easy as well. That if there's anything that teaches patience, if you look at agriculture and if you look at
Trees.
the kind of things that farmers have to go through, it really teaches a lot. One recommendation or suggestion I can give is Jeremy Clarkson of Top Gear fame has a show called Clarkson's Farm on Amazon Prime. There's 2 seasons of it. If anyone is interested, definitely watch that show because it's not only fun, not only entertaining, but it's very educational as well.
Great. Just like ThyGap.
Just like ThyGap.
Yeah.
So cultivating friendship, that's the reason why we use the word cultivating. But the other word friendship, Brute,
Yeah.
especially we are targeting like young adults, guys in their early 20s or mid 20s. They're
Like our age group.
of course, yeah.
Come on.
in the
our
past.
age group.
Yeah.
Don't have to put tenses. Okay?
Yeah. But at that age, right, our definition of what friendship actually means itself
Yeah.
tends to be kind of skewed.
And that is where the root cause is. I think we've always been vocal about the fact that get your definitions right.
Yeah.
It's a very easy thing to say, but again, you need to cultivate your definitions. I think we're going to use cultivate a lot in this episode, like unnecessarily, though we are not farmers.
Yeah.
So defining friendship is really important. How do you define your friendship?
Well, before I get to that, I just wanted to call out that in our 20s, there tend to be a lot of blurred lines, like you said, in the sense that we tend to think of whoever we hang out with during that period of time, they're our friends. Whereas there are different categories, like there is a category called acquaintances.
Yeah.
Then there is a category called colleagues.
Yeah.
And then there's a separate category called friends.
Yeah.
In our 20s, we tend to make the mistake of thinking whoever we hang out with
Our friends.
regularly.
It's
they're
like
our
a
friends.
blanket term.
Like a blanket term.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's where we make the mistake of, not defining friendships properly.
And the other set of source of getting these definitions is GRE preparation.
Right.
All the people who prepared for GRE, who had to write synonyms of friends, right? Or all these terms.
Yeah.
They were the ones who expert. Do you know we are actually acquaintance? We're not really friends. Why do you say that? Because I still didn't share my favorite bat with you or like my favorite sneakers with you.
Right.
So hence we are still just acquaintance.
Yeah. So guys in your 20s, like people you just met, those people are acquaintances. You just met these people, you don't know much about them. That's about it. They're acquaintances. People that you meet on a daily basis at the office and you hang out with them every day, all the breaks. Even then, if your conversation does not step out of the bounds of office or work or superficial surface level kind of topics,
Yeah.
then also you can just consider that you're only colleagues. Maybe you're not still friends yet.
So here is my question, Bogus. Like at what point will they become friends?
I think they need to know more about you on a personal level, like beyond, the social circle that they met you in.
Yeah.
Because like we discussed in some earlier episode, like we tend to move in and out of all these bubbles
Yeah.
where each bubble is its own world.
Correct.
Right. So a real friend is someone who kind of overlaps all of them, or you're free to talk to them about, regardless of, whichever world you want to talk about, you're free to actually just be yourself. And they know a little bit more about you, your background. You know a little bit more about them. You've had shared experiences or shared memories together, or you're starting on your way to build those with each other. Then you can think that, okay, this is more than just being a colleague now. It's a little bit more than just being an acquaintance.
Got it. So basically what you're getting at is it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Or can it happen overnight?
No.
No, it happens over a period of time.
Yeah. Cultivating.
You have to cultivate this friendship.
Yeah.
They have to like upgrade every level from an acquaintance to like, okay, regular neighbor to
Yeah.
like, how come he's in my house suddenly to
Yeah.
like he's wearing my clothes now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your friend.
Yeah. Just to add a little more color to what you just said. For me, I think when does an acquaintance or like a fleeting person become a friend, I think is when you are ready to take initiative. You know, I mean, they say friendship is a two-way street,
Yeah.
right? But someone has to start walking in the street.
Yes.
So when you decide that you want to kind of initiate,
Yeah.
is when for you he becomes a friend, which is more than an acquaintance.
Right.
And it becomes friendship when that person reciprocates to you. I mean, it's a very high level basic thing. But I always felt that if you have that inclination to initiate, you know, a friendly hand and you are ready to invest that amount of time or stuff like that, and if that person responds to that initiation,
Yeah.
that is when the whole friendship thing starts. And then comes a lot of things like, oh, getting to know more about each other, getting to know the moods.
Yeah.
So it's the initiation part which is really important, where in your head it clicks to you that, you know what, I want to be friends with this guy. You know, I want this guy to be around me in my circle. That initiation, if you get it from your perspective, then you can be rest assured that this can build into a meaningful relationship. So that definition of why you want to initiate is what we have to like be clear about.
Yeah.
And that is where I segue to our next point of why it's not easy is to do so, you need to know yourself, and even more so, you need to know your enemy.
Yeah.
And what we mean by enemy is not someone who's trying to kill your sister and kidnap your parents, but someone who might not be the right person to be around with
Yeah.
for your own betterment.
Yeah.
So let's elaborate on this, Bogus.
Because there is that saying, right? You are the company that you keep.
Correct. It is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, what you just said. And which is why I think in the last 2.5 years since we started the podcast, my IQ levels have been reducing by fractional margins every time we record an episode.
Oh, really?
Because I am
Mine has been
What,
exponentially degrading.
you can make out why.
Yeah.
We both are sharing the company of you.
Oh, right.
Okay. And that is, it's hazardous. But, lot of things we do for love. So,
Yeah.
water under the bridge.
Yeah. So know yourself.
Hmm.
This is the most important thing after understanding the definition of what exactly friendship means.
Yeah.
And not get swept away by blanket terms or umbrella terms.
Yeah.
That, oh, this guy is my friend because I just met him 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So once you've gone beyond that point,
He helped me open the door.
that's it.
That doesn't make
Not best friends for life, like BFFs.
Yeah. He gave me his leg piece
Yeah.
after he ate 3.
Yeah. So why we say know yourself is the first step is because unless you start from that foundation, you're bound to make mistakes down the way. I mean, you might be choosing or picking the wrong kind of people for you unless you know yourself in and out. And when we say know yourself, this is not an expectation, not a very high level expectation.
Yeah. At 20, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
starting off.
It's like
there's
a
only so
reasonable because at least in our society, Indian society,
Yeah.
I would say men until they reach their 30 or mid 30s, that is when they really know themselves very well.
Well, for men, there's a great saying, right? I think one of the best saying I've heard about, you become a real man once your father dies.
Yeah, I mean, that's a spiritual kind of.
I mean, like when you really want to know what responsibilities are.
Yeah,
blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. But at a high level, at a broad level, you need to have a directional understanding of what values and principles you are vaguely made of.
Exactly.
You need to at least have that wireframe
Yeah.
of you as an individual.
This is in your 20s.
In your 20s. I'm not saying this at 40s. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is in 30s also because I'm in my teens.
Yeah. So we're talking about an average, right? So on average, men in our society tend to have a better hold on who they are, etc., post their 30s. What I'm saying is without any external stimulus or without any conscious moves on your part, on average, it might take you until your 30s or mid 30s. And what you want to do in your 20s is you want to cut down that time. You don't want
Expedite.
it to you want to expedite it. You want to get that stage started in your 20s itself because there's a lot of benefits to be reaped when you do that. So when we say know yourself in your 20s, what we mean is at a reasonable level because you're still evolving as an adult. You're still not fully formed. 20s are still kind of your formative years.
Yeah.
So don't expect perfection from yourself. But at that stage, at a reasonable level, are you aware of the ins and outs of who you are as a person, as an individual? Are you aware of what your personal standards are, what your likes and dislikes are? What are the things that you will absolutely not participate in or absolutely not engage with?
Or compromise with.
Or what will you not compromise with at all? Those are the things. What we mean is know your enemy. The things that you will not sign off on.
Yeah.
As an individual,
The
in your
buck
20s.
stops there.
Yeah, those you can categorize as, okay, that is my enemy.
Yeah.
So once you have this clarity that, okay, now I have some clarity about who I am and what I do not engage with or compromise with, that becomes like a good starting step.
Yeah. But at the same time, I also would say like it shouldn't be rigid at that age at least.
In 20s,
you
don't
can't-
make it rigid.
Rigidity is
Death.
Yeah, it's death. You need to let it come in naturally. Eventually, everybody becomes rigid,
Yeah, leave some buffer.
like senile and all.
Yeah.
But at that age, I think it's I don't know. See, there is no template bogus. I feel the tricky part here, which is what doesn't make it easy, is there are too many lucrative things, right? Of adopting. You want to be, everybody wants to be perfectionist at that age.
Yeah.
Right. And they want to be the best version of themselves. And there's a lot of things working in their favor at that age, right? Like your body is at the optimal level.
Yeah.
You have that mental energy, you have that physical stamina, you have the drive, and your convictions are off the chart.
Yeah. And
Right.
you tend to be a little too cocksure of yourself in your 20s also.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
of
Because again, hormones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel rejuvenated all the time. You almost are like immortal, indomitable and all. So it is very tricky to like actually make it concise. But the only thing I can say right now, looking back, is pick the one which really appeals to you at multiple levels. You know what I mean? Like pick one value of yourself, how you will identify yourself. And it can be a very basic value. Like just pick the value of saying that honesty.
Right.
Okay. And this is something that I will not compromise on. I will never go against this value. And then you test it out. Like you apply it in whenever you get a chance. If you are able to do that, then you get a gauge of what else will complement honesty. Or whether honesty is the right thing for you or not. Because, in a practical world, you don't want to be honest. You want to be diplomatic, for example.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt people or whatever. But if you start off that exercise, eventually you'll get to things which really, are in tune with how you naturally are built. And then you will also filter out those qualities. And in the process, you also get to know the people who will accept or appreciate this.
Yeah.
So that is a whole game plan where you pick the ones which you have a natural appeal to. I mean, I'm at that age, I don't think integrity is something that people have a good grip of. But simple terms like, honesty or...
Simple things like, if you give your word, do you keep it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just like that. And
standing by...
Can they be trusted?
Yeah, not snitching.
Not snitching.
Right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It can be very simple, which is not something that you do it day-to-day basis, but there will come a lot of opportunities for you to exercise that.
Yeah, and a lot of opportunities for you to test that observe that in other people
Correct.
that you think could be your friends or,
Correct.
still in that middle phase.
The gray area.
The gray area.
Yeah.
Like you're not too sure about.
Yeah, that is one thing that I think it has to be implemented to at least build that wireframe of, okay, what kind of people do I really want to be with?
Yeah.
So, which is why this is the first important. I think I'll be religious at this point, Bogus, because, I'm like really religious person. You know what they said in Bible? Love thyself before you love thy neighbor.
Okay.
So it directly correlates with what we are saying. If you don't know yourself, then it's very difficult for you to know what kind of people you are on the mercy of people of forming you, right? So you are not going to choose the bubble that we are talking about. You're not going to create your bubble. You're going to be in the mercy of what someone else has created. And this is where you'll become a victim of judgment. You'll become a victim of prejudice and, having a wrong perception for yourself, which will eventually lead you to having not great friendships. Because when the buck stops, when the glass wall breaks, then you'll realize that you've wasted a lot of years just by relying on someone else's image of you.
Yeah, and the love yourself part could also translate to, being a little kind to yourself in the sense, when we say know yourself in 20s, let that be to a reasonable extent only. Give some buffer, allow some humility in, because in your 20s, even though physically and mentally you're at the peak of your capacities, you're still not really there yet. No matter how much
You think you are there.
you think you're there.
How much
but
you feel, I think.
how much you feel that you're there at the top, you're not. You're still a mold and
Yeah.
you're still forming. So
Yeah.
be a little kind to yourself and allow that buffer of, okay, I don't need to know everything. I don't need to hit this to perfection.
Yeah.
I'll just, so far, how much do I know so far? That's good enough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's really important, because not only would you pick the right people when you know yourself better, but you would also know how to avoid the wrong people.
Which is equally important.
Equally important. That
Yeah.
clarity is very important.
Yeah.
There is one other thing that I wanted to touch in this segment, bro, before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what our listener wrote in,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had people like you to talk to,
Yeah.
right? That sort of implies, now we don't know if this is true or not, but I just don't want to leave that to chance. So that could,
So we are guessing.
we are guessing here, we are assuming.
We don't want to leave it to chance, hence we are guessing.
Yeah, this is an assumption. So that kind of statement implies that perhaps the people that he does have in his current friend circle, they are definitely not the people that he can talk to this way. That's the reason why he's writing to us, listening to the podcast. So I just want to let this person know that in your 20s, again, in your youth, you might feel like, if I find value in this particular category of people, then the other category of people that I have, there is no value in them. Or if you feel like you can't have intellectual conversations or deep conversations, philosophical, passionate conversations with your current group of friends, you might be led to believe that those guys are useless. You might be led to believe that they're just dumbasses. They don't have a high IQ, or they don't have a good taste in things. All they do is just waste time. They hang out, they just have silly, superficial fun. But I just wanted to remind our listener that there is value in that as well. And it's very important for you to know that. Yes, you may feel a certain level of like-mindedness lacking, and you're absolutely within your right, and you should pursue, friendships that satisfy that particular aspect. But at the same time, do not look down on any other friends that you have that are not able to give you that.
Look down is a very heavy word. I think don't discount.
Don't discount. I say look down because it is 20s we're talking about, right? In 20s, we tend to do that.
I never did, which is why it's a little difficult for me.
I've observed people doing that. That's why I'm saying this.
You've spent your 20s in a room, Bogus. It must be a mirror.
No.
You were looking down upon yourself.
I've spent my 20s walking through different social circles, and that's the reason why I was able to see.
Yes, you should stop once in a while. You can't keep walking through them.
That's the reason why I was able to see how the different groups were looking at other groups. So extroverted, outgoing, simple-minded groups used to condescending or used to look down upon introverted people who were kind of looking to learn, or who were kind of in their own world. At the same time, this group also looked down on the other group, thinking that they're just dumbasses.
Yeah.
They're simpletons.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in your 20s, if you want to hit the jackpot, guys, you have to realize that there is value in both.
Yeah, see, again, it kind of boils down to the fact that diversity is what will expose you to varied experiences.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I know it's going a little philosophical from my side, which generally doesn't happen. Experiences is the ultimate teacher. It may be in people, may be in things or whatever. So if you are going to experience the same thing again and again, that's a sure shot formula of not growing and rather digging a well for yourself, right? You be a frog in the well ultimately. And that's not what you want to do. And there's another importance to the fact that why you should experience that diverse social strata or whatever, so that you become, multidimensional. And it is your choice whether you want to utilize or be that way or not.
Yeah.
But make it a choice first.
Yeah.
Right? And that is really important according to me. And this is something which is very smartly told to me, saying that you learn something not because you want to use it compulsively. You learn something so that you know how to do it eventually. So it's not necessary that just because you're roaming around with a bunch of people, you have to be them. That's not the case. You roam with a bunch of people so that you get to learn. You never close the door on learning, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
And my point was kind of related to this, but in a different way. And this is kind of also talking about that mental status that you have in the 20s time, where you're just kind of going to the next phase of life from like school or college life to like probably working or something. And because you have those heavy hormonal, or I don't know, whatever is the chemical reaction, you have the dire need to replicate stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like, I want to have similar friend circle like how I had in my school. I want to have a similar friend circle like how I had in my college, etc. That again is something that you need to have a keen eye on. If you want to really open up the world and have a footprint, then stop the replication.
Yeah.
And what's the point if you're finding people who are just like you? Where is it? I mean, isn't it obvious? It's like a common sense thing that, okay, fine. If I want to know something I wouldn't know naturally, how will I get to that point? I need someone to at least push me or nudge me in that direction. But if all my people, all my circle is the same way exactly like me, then it's screwed, right? It's almost like I'm going to run in circles and expect that I'll grow faster.
Yeah. Yeah. For example, if you're the sort of person that likes to constantly learn and constantly keep growing or evolving as a person, then you're probably going to be involved in a lot of solitary activity by yourself. And if you think, okay, now I need like-minded people, and you try to associate with people like you, eventually when you get from your 20s to your late 20s or 30s, your friends are going to disperse.
Yeah.
And if you have the similar kind of people, then these people who are just like you, they want to learn, they keep learning, keep evolving, keep growing, they're going to find their own paths in life. So you will come at a stage where you will find a sore lacking of companionship, simple companionship, you know?
Yeah. And there's a dangerous outcome of that to you also.
Yeah.
You know what is it? You will start basing your life decisions chasing these people because you can't let them go.
Yeah.
And that's an even more dangerous place to be, according to me.
Right. And the so-called simpletons that you may have looked down upon earlier, who, you know, don't seem to have a lot of ambition in life. All they wanted was out of life was, hey, I just need a decent paying job and a stable job. And I just need to find my partner in life. I want to get married. I want to be a family guy. I just want to be a father. I want to have kids and all that stuff. So these category of people, unfortunately, people tend to look down on them sometimes, thinking that they're not ambitious in life. They don't want to grow or keep growing. They don't want to chase the next big thing. But the fact of life is, later in your late 20s or 30s, when you feel the lack of that companionship, that simple companionship, these are the people that will be ready for you.
Yeah.
To hang out with you, to meet you. And the meeting may not be about a specific agenda. It may not be a deep conversation, whatever, but still you will get that relief of just socializing and mingling and, you know, meeting with these people.
Yeah. Every friend has a purpose.
So everybody has their value. It is up to you to recognize that value in them and leveraging it for your own benefit.
And I'll tell you another thing, Bogus, and you might relate this with a lot. You need to keep your pride aside. You have achieved nothing.
Yes.
Just by establishing, oh, these guys are useless. Or like just by establishing that, oh, they are not as cool as me or whatever.
It is easy to pass judgment.
You'll realize that it's a fucking useless activity that you spend time on. And that just only to, you know, kind of feed into your pride.
Yeah, it is these so-called simpletons that are actually more content in life.
Yeah.
They live more fulfilled lives, actually.
Correct. Which brings me to the next segment, Bogus, which is don't be afraid to get hurt.
Yeah.
Or don't be afraid to
be hated.
Bogus, it's not a saying. I'm telling you, I'm giving you this.
It's
statement.
the name of the segment.
It's the name of the segment, and I'm telling this to you.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be hated.
Mm-hmm.
Never be afraid to be hated.
I never had that problem.
Don't sulk for the smallest things, whatever I tell. I'm telling this for your good.
Right.
Okay. Whatever I've always communicated to you was for your good. It's a very selfless act from me.
Sure.
When I told you that you look like a buffalo's behind, it is for your good. It is for you to accept and embrace the reality.
Right.
Okay. So don't feel that I hate you just because you look like a buffalo's behind.
No. I just don't pay any importance to what you say or what comes out of your mouth.
Which is the third segment. The next slide, I think what I'll be talking about. As to what will make you lose friends.
Right.
What do you uncultivate friendship?
No, but bro,
it's a great point here. Off the bat.
Go into this.
Yeah. It's like never be afraid to get hurt. and never be afraid to be hated.
And this is in the context of when you're stepping out, looking to build relationships.
Correct. When you're cultivating, use the bloody
Cultivating.
tagline,
Yes.
like the title of our episode. When you're trying to cultivate friendship, this is when you kind of had a framework. You know what is to be done, what is right, what's wrong, etc., etc. And you're kind of fishing out there.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure out who are the right people for you. And this is where it gets very tricky, and it often kind of puts you on the back foot if you're not smart about it. One of the things, and we have mentioned this point also, that there is that greed of being perfect in that age, right? I mean, you're trying to make the most of whatever you got, looks wise, skill, intelligence, everything.
It's also social engineering. To an
Yeah,
extent,
it is, because obviously, like, now you're alone, ensure that you don't do any mistakes so that your life is settled, all kind of nonsense that is put into your head.
Yeah.
It is extremely important for you to be hated or for you to hurt people when the stakes are low.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that I always feel like you are rather better off hurting someone when they are still an acquaintance and when you're not really sure of, how the relationship will grow or whether they'll be friends or not.
Right.
Then, you kind of like smooth talking them into a friendship. Okay, just because you want to be friends. Because there's an important point we mentioned, which is you always initiate a friendship.
Yeah.
Right? You extend the hand. So you smooth talk your way into it. And then you think that, okay, now we are friends. At least, this guy is responding, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you open up your mouth.
Now I'll show my true form.
True form, all that. Never works.
Yeah.
That's not how you cultivate friendship. You put your hard step in the beginning.
Yeah.
And be ready to pay the price.
Yeah.
Because you will not go wrong. And this is another fear people have, that, what if people don't like me? What if people don't appreciate me? Maybe people don't accept me for who I am.
Right.
Which is bullshit according to me. You are better off having just a bunch of 2 or 3 good friends than having like 100 superficial friends.
Yeah.
If you end up being in the second scenario, just because you've successfully not hurt your pride, not, hurt your ego, then you basically will have nobody to go to. You are
they're
still
not real
lonely.
friends.
Yeah, there is nobody who's calling a spade in your life.
Yeah.
There's nobody who's giving you that honest third-person perspective about what your decisions are, etc. And most importantly, there is nobody who is there for you when you want to hear the right words.
Yeah.
Everybody is going to say, is going to do exactly what you have done. Like, be smooth to them, be a smooth, what, don't worry, things are going to be fine. What you're doing is fine, it's in the right way, blah, blah, blah. But a real guy, because you have shown that, okay, I've hurt you. If the conversation starts from a point where it converted from a hatred to like a, blossoming friendship.
Yeah.
You can expect that, okay, now we have neutralized hurting each other or hating each other. We can't hurt or hate each other anymore.
Yeah. And when we say hurting, we don't mean to say that you deliberately go out of your way to hurt someone. What we mean is, in the natural process of things, when you meet someone new, and if you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, and if you're consciously being yourself, you could end up hurting someone's feelings. It's very possible. That's what we mean when we say hurt.
Right.
Not that you deliberately go and hurt them.
Yeah, it's not like you go throw a stone at them and like, hey, let's be friends.
Yeah.
Now that I've hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also the other thing is like, that inhibition where if I be myself, what will people think?
Yeah.
Let them think whatever they want to think.
Yes.
And I also want to call out another listener of ours who was like in the message saying that, I'm laughing for no reason, listening, with earphones in my head.
Right.
I wonder, people must be thinking I'm mad.
I'm crazy. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Please never have that kind of an attitude. I would say it's an attitude more than thinking or thought process.
Yeah.
Don't be sorry for who you are. Never apologize for who you are. Even if it means that you've hurt someone in the process, even if it means that it makes somebody hate you in the process, look at it this way, that it is, okay, fine, they don't get my craziness or they don't get my, thinking or whatever. So fine, fair point. I got my answer. Thank you very much. Let me go somewhere else.
Yeah. And an important call out here is, on average...
Donate to ThyGap.
No, on average, people reach this stage of not caring about, like really not caring about what others think of them in their 50s.
Yeah.
On average.
Yeah. Ask us, we know.
We know because we see our grandfather.
Yeah, we see. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously. What do
Of
you
course,
think,
yeah, what
Bogus?
do you
You
think?
don't have
Yeah.
to like make it explicit.
I have to, Brut.
No.
So imagine if on average it takes a person to reach their 50s to realize this.
Yeah.
If you actually can realize and absorb this in your 20s, you have a huge advantage. You've
Huge.
leapfrogged years and years of
You will
unnecessary
be.
churn.
You will be the future podcasters reiterating this message.
Exactly. That's as far as you'll go.
Yeah.
Subscribe and share. But
It's a great point, right?
yeah, it is.
It's a very important. A lot of people don't understand that this is an integral part of cultivating friendship. Every time it is almost from the external source. Oh, you know what? He cheated me. Oh, you know what? He lied to me.
Yeah.
You know what? They have done this or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you set the precedent right? You know, do they know what matters to you and what doesn't? Because if a friend knows what matters to you,
And still he stepped on the line,
yeah,
then you know he's not.
correct.
Yeah.
But a friend who knows what matters to you, respects what matters to you. He will fuck around with everything in and around it,
Yeah.
but not that.
But you have to set the expectations.
Exactly. The precedent is set by you. And somehow we put that burden and blame on the other guy. Like, oh, you
Always.
didn't do this.
Always.
Oh, you never asked me this question. Like, okay. So, yeah, I mean, like, I sometimes wonder, like, how come people don't look at it this way?
That's why we have the ThyGap podcast. Subscribe and share.
And donate.
Yeah. But the other thing also, bro, like you mentioned, you have to be willing to go through this process of hurting or being hated
Yeah.
when the stakes are low.
Yeah.
And the stakes are low in your 20s.
Yeah,
the stakes
absolutely.
are low in the initial stages of
Bare minimum.
meeting someone.
Correct.
That's when the stakes are low.
Yeah.
But the advantage is not only are the stakes low in your 20s or in the initial stages of building a relationship with someone, the other thing that needs to be understood is once you cross your 30s, the chances or opportunities of meeting new people and building friendships, it diminishes like exponentially.
Yeah.
So your 20s are really the last stage.
Yeah.
You can expect to keep meeting people and then have the privilege of, filtering through them and finding the right ones, etc.
Yeah.
Because after that, you won't even get the incoming
Correct.
to filter them out.
Correct. Also look at it this way, like you are setting the foundation of what kind of a person / friend / whatever acquaintance you are going to be
Yeah.
from your 20s.
Yeah.
People start doing that much later.
Yeah.
They rely a lot on, which is why, if you look at it one way, a lot of people only end up with their childhood friends. They don't have friends who are like lateral entries and all.
Yeah.
I mean, if I think of my brother, my father, and all of them, they're all like, oh, this person is like, we've studied together since college, or we've known each other since school, etc. And I'm like, where are your office friends?
Right.
Like, where are your colleagues?
Yeah.
And it kind of scares me a little. Like, is this how it's going to be? Like, we are incapable of making good friends after a certain point.
Yeah.
So if I don't get to make friends by my, whatever age, say 30, does that mean, is that all I've got?
Right. Right.
So these are things that you have to pick and learn from. You kind of have to take those hints
Yeah.
from what you look around. And again, it's a great segue to the next segment.
As we
Bogus,
do.
like always, it's
Organic.
almost like
It's
we
just,
have not scripted this, Bogus.
Exactly.
It's like we have literally not scripted. We have only put side headings and all.
Yeah.
So if you are not going to make a lot of friends after a certain point in life, okay, if that is a genuine eventuality,
Which is again the average.
average, average.
And the whole goal of this podcast, this episode, is to help you go against that average timeline, average stream.
Correct.
Is to
break the pattern.
break the wheel.
Break the wheel.
Yeah.
Like break it.
Yeah.
So if there is that certain eventuality of not being able to make friends,
Yeah.
then you have kind of a limited time period to really like practice or put this into action.
Filter out. Yeah.
So this is where I think the next important step comes in,
Yeah.
which is don't be afraid to take the first step.
Yes.
Go forward, go meet people, put yourself out there, express yourself. And this connects to the previous point, which is if in the process you get hurt or you hurt people or you get hated or you hate people, it is fine.
Yeah.
Don't have to like ponder over it.
It's all part of the process.
It's part of the process. You
Yeah.
will eventually do it. Like if you start off learning any skill, there's nobody who will ever go through that and learn the skill without making a single mistake, without hurting themselves or, without getting a bad output.
Yeah.
Right? And this is no different.
Yeah.
So, Bogus, what is your take? Please tell me about the amazingness of this heading.
Take the first step, meet them halfway.
Halfway.
And this is to highlight that if you have identified a certain need, as our listener has done, they've mentioned, I wish I had people like you to talk to.
Yeah.
So a need already has been identified there.
Yeah.
Now you should not sit and hope for your friends to fall in your lap.
Yeah.
If you have identified a need, you take the first step. You have to at least meet them halfway.
Yeah.
Figure out, first of all, know yourself.
Correct.
When you know yourself, okay, these are the different facets of my personality. These are the different things that I like or different hobbies or interests I have.
Yeah.
Now I have online communities, many forums or platforms through which I can actually put myself out there.
Yeah.
And say, hey, is anyone willing to meet up?
Yeah.
If you're interested in photography, go to a photography subreddit.
Yeah.
In your particular city, in your location, whatever. If you have a will, you can find a way.
Yeah.
But that's the thing many of us don't do. We sit and expect for things to fall in our lap.
Correct.
That's not how it happens. If you take the effort, you make that first step, and if you meet people halfway, then you will see that people will start to reciprocate, and maybe you will find those people that you're looking
And
for.
sometimes it's not even about going to a new avenue.
Yeah.
One of the things I find very weird is what makes you not express to me, even if I am like extremely different to you.
Right.
And I'll give you an example in my own life, and you are a part of this example. You are witness to this example. There's a friend of mine, really close friend, good friend, but he never was into watches. And a lot of my stories could revolve around watches.
Yeah, it's the bane of our existence.
Yeah. I mean, my conversation part is watches. But anyway, so this guy didn't really like watches. We used to be roommates, and we used to share a room together. And he kept asking me, like, what's the whole deal about you and watches? Like, why do you like watches? Why don't you like smartwatches? Blah, blah, blah.
Which was my question also at one point of time.
It was your question also.
Yeah.
And I kind of try to put some context to why watches is important. This didn't happen overnight, okay? This happened over a period of time where I try to explain to him saying that, hey, you know what? Now, can be subjective, but look at it from my way. Watch completes a man. Or any person. Like the only jewelry a guy can wear, which can actually add more value to his persona, is a watch.
Right.
You wear bracelets, you wear rings, you wear necklaces and all, or chains or whatever. It makes you only look bad, or it makes you look more rowdy. You want to add a certain finesse or, certain suave or certain mystery to you. A watch does a lot. You don't realize it, but a lot of people are looking at a watch and making a judgment of you, just like how shoes do, right? So, long story short, I gave him multiple perspectives. I opened up and expressed or shared a lot about...
Apart from the appearance aspect also, like in our conversations, what I've got from you is you're also interested in the mechanical or the engineering aspect of it, like the different kinds of watches.
Yes.
So there at least I was able to understand, okay, this guy is not just wasting his money.
Yeah.
It's more than that.
Correct. It's just like, men are victims of machinery, right?
Yeah,
we like automobile. We like anything that has gears.
Yeah, we love it.
So for me, it was more about watches. And again, because I have an affinity towards time or horology as a topic.
Right.
And mind you, a lot of people really don't get deep into horology.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't kind of really go deep. Like, where did time invent? How did we started measuring second?
Yeah.
Nobody goes there. So it's a very small, audience that you get.
Yeah.
Why I'm telling this story is bogus because eventually, there came an occasion where I got an opportunity to gift him something, and I gifted him a watch.
Okay.
And after I gifted him, I said, hey, you know what? It's a big event. He was getting married or something.
Okay.
I gifted him a watch, and he's like, dude, not a watch. Like, it was not even a surprise. He knew if I was giving something, it was going to be a watch. You're like, not a watch and all. And like, dude, just for the day. It's an important day. You got to be a complete man. And I know you would not buy a watch, or you wear some dumb smartwatch or something. You can't do that. So wear this for the day.
Were you able to explain to him, or did you get the opportunity? Did he give you an opportunity to explain to him what was it about that watch that was special? Or
Yeah, like I said, see, he knew where I was coming from, because I always made my intent very clear with him, saying that as long as you don't wear a good watch or a decent watch, even if you wear an Armani suit, you're not complete according to me.
okay,
So I always put across that, what do you say, dissatisfaction to him, saying that if you're not wearing a watch along with your clothes, you're not a complete man. You still have something off.
right,
So when the big day came, I said like, okay, wearing a good dress, or putting on a decent suit and all, wear a watch, it completes you. Bogus, trust me, he didn't stop wearing the watch from
Okay.
that day. And the point where you witnessed this, where you asked like, you were the one who looked at his wrist and like, oh, are you into watches? And like, this guy put me up to it
oh, okay, I don't remember that. Yeah, okay,
at Theory,
okay,
right? Then we went into like changing our wardrobes and grooming and all,
right. Now I remember.
So why I'm saying this story is you need to push it forward, as if you really want that friendship to kind of like get stronger. Why I say that is because if you don't express or if you're feeling constricted to express yourself, either you have not tried or you are assuming that things won't fall in place.
Right.
Which is why I feel that, it is very, very important to make that step. And to our the specific listener, if you're assuming that people might not show interest, a lot depends on how passionate you are in what you're saying.
Yeah.
And if they're true friends and they resonate with they may not resonate with the topic that you're talking about and all, but they will understand your passion.
Yeah.
Right? They will understand where you're coming from. That is enough. That is enough for a true friend to say like, dude, I don't get any shit that you're saying, but I'm here to listen.
Yeah. And that's the benefit of, having friends who are diverse.
Yeah.
Because they bring different aspects of life that you were not even familiar with.
Correct.
And maybe you start to appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it adds to your personality now,
It only makes you, it kind of brings in that missing pieces of what can make you better.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a point we forgot to mention in the know your enemy part, which is, this reminded me of this story actually, which is in your 20s, especially if you're looking to filter out people, do not filter out them on superficial basis. Like, oh, this guy is not involved in the same activities as I am. So I don't want to be friends with this guy.
You are not Manchester United fan? Oh my God.
We can't be friends. We tend to do that in our 20s because we have the luxury of incoming.
Yeah.
Like we have the luxury of more people to sift through.
Right.
But know that is only as long as your 20s last. In your 30s onwards, you will not have that luxury anymore. So definitely don't be sidelining people for superficial, surface level reasons.
Yeah.
Instead, if you want to sideline them, if you want to, put them in the category of, no, this is not a person for me, that should be more because of principles. It should be more because of deeper values. Like at the very core, are they a good human being?
Correct.
Is that person a decent person?
Yeah.
Can you trust them? Do they stand by their word? These kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, like if you're able to look beyond the flaws.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Right. That's where the true beauty is. If you're able to accept the flaws, not that the flaws will vanish, but if you're able to still see some good or some kind of compatibility despite their flaws.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You got your answer right there.
Yeah.
Which also brings to the next segment, Bogus. I mean, oh my God, it's never ending. Because you're going to go do all these things. And we have also mentioned that it's about cultivating this whole thing rather than just, expecting overnight results.
Yeah.
Expect getting disappointed.
Yeah. Expect
Big
disappointment always.
Can I add some more bloody extravaganza to this?
No, you fucked it up already. That's why I had to correct it.
Expect getting disappointed.
Great.
Expect it.
Okay.
On your face, Bogus.
Yeah.
Are you disappointed?
I am already.
You should have expected it.
I did.
Nonsense.
I always do, bro, with you.
So, Bogus, I'll leave this to you.
Uh-huh.
When we say expect disappointment, what are we talking about? Like, should we like a common man? Are we like, okay, fine, no matter what I do, I'll disappoint people? Or no matter what I do, are people going to like take me for granted and disappoint me? Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. What we mean by this expect disappointment is just as how it is easy for us to have that catering kind of mentality, which is, why are they not coming and doing this for me?
Yeah.
Why is he not coming and becoming my friend? Not at all thinking about what the hell am I doing? Am I doing anything in the first place? So this also is similar to that, in the sense that we tend to, especially in our early youth, like 20s, etc., we tend to expect perfection from people for no rational reason at all.
Yeah.
One small mistake they do, that's it. In our eyes now, they're so flawed. Or one argument you have, roadside, you or your friends went on a road trip, you have an argument and now you become enemies for life.
Right.
That is blowing things out of proportion. Right? So expect disappointment. What we mean by that is, people, your friends in your life will disappoint you. That is inevitable. Yeah. They will disappoint you. And the other inevitable thing is, you might disappoint them also. And the other inevitable thing is, you will disappoint yourself.
Correct.
The one common thing in this is people. Like, we are not perfect. We are all flawed. So always expect disappointment. I guess the only thing you'd have to see is, what was the cause of the disappointment? Was it again just a superficial surface level thing? Was it a random argument or a random thing that can be overlooked? Or does it go to really those deep principles or the foundation levels? Like, did they do something that goes against you seeing them as a good human being? Did they really do something that severe? If it was that severe, then if you decide, okay, this is touching on foundational principles, like I cannot trust them anymore, or they broke my trust, or they were not loyal to me, or something like that, then if you want to break off the friendship, I fully understand.
Yeah, they ate lunch without me.
Now that is...
That is disappointment, man.
It is disappointment.
Genuine foundational disappointment. Sharing is caring.
But it's not a deal breaker disappointment.
That is the foundational principle on which I have built my life.
That is you.
Sharing is caring. Anybody started dating a girl, I'm like, bro, you didn't tell me, bro. What is this nonsense?
Yeah.
But because again, I think it is one of those cultivating cogs.
Yeah.
I'm going to use cultivating for no reason now. I've reached that point.
Those two words don't make any sense
cultivating
together,
cogs of friendship is that appetite for disappointment.
Yeah.
And this is, okay, and it's a funny story.
It's just being realistic.
I was telling it to someone very close. Okay, I can't name them. They go by my sister. And I was telling them, because it's a serious point. It's also emotional. Okay? It's very personal that I'm opening up to. Mm-hmm. I was like, every time you think that the world wasn't fair, right? I would just look back at how many times our parents have felt that we have fallen short of their expectation.
Yeah.
The two people who kind of like put everything, all the faith that they can muster into us. And how many times have we stood up to that?
Yeah.
And this should be a benchmark, because the world doesn't give a shit about us.
And the world is not fair. Period.
Yeah, it's period, right? The
it's
world
not
doesn't
even
care.
The way the game works.
Right. The world doesn't care.
Yeah.
And we are responsible for the two people who can't care more for us.
Right.
Right. So always compare these two. Every time you get disappointed or every time you get hurt or whatever adjective you use by the external factor, always just take a pause and look back and say like, okay, fine. Has this ever happened? Or is there any synonym of this kind of a disappointment that I might have given to the parents? And you will be surprised to know, Bogus, the output of this activity was the person who I can't name, who goes by my sister, figured out a way not to get... like today, she doesn't get affected by anything.
Right.
Any kind of thing that goes haywire, any kind of thing that doesn't fall according to the plan, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get up tomorrow. We'll try again and let's see.
Go with the flow is the Indian way.
Is the Indian way.
Yeah.
The American way is drink some beers, mate.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you're an Australian living in America. But the point here is, you need to build an appetite to disappointment.
Yeah.
But not base your decisions on those disappointments. And it's a very important reason why I say that. Like, it is okay for people to disappoint you. And all the three scenarios that you told, right?
Yeah.
Like, you disappoint someone, you disappoint yourself. Like, everybody disappoints everybody.
Yeah.
The reason is, which is again a segue to the next segment.
Right.
The side heading. Friction fastens friendships.
Yes.
Comma, rest of the script. Whatever.
No, that's it.
But
friction
fastens friendship. If somebody disappoints you or you disappoint someone, go have the conversation.
Yeah.
resolve the altercation, right? Because what happens after you patch up? It's like, it's almost like that Chinese or Japanese art, right? When something is broken, they mend it with gold so that the value of it is even more.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's a
Your bond
beautiful
gets stronger.
philosophy.
Yeah, your bond gets stronger provided you got a chance to break it and heal it. And in fact, there's another fractality to this, which is a very weird fractality. And I got to know from a very weird source. You know what happens to a boxer when they are practicing? So every time they punch, the punching bag, or when they're training, small cracks form on their bones, on their finger bones and their,
knuckles.
On their knuckles and all that.
Yeah.
And because the body is healing those small cracks, eventually the finger bones and wrist and all become stupendously strong.
Yeah.
Which makes their punch carry more weight or more power than an average person who never hurt his knuckles.
Yeah, it's the same thing with muscle development.
Muscle development. You puncture it so that it heals and becomes stronger.
It tears and it keeps healing.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
If there is some kind of a rift or an altercation, don't jump to the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Like, because every time I got 18,000 rupees for the times we fought, today, I mean, like, I don't think I would have needed you. Like, I would have walked away a millionaire.
Right.
But look at where we are. Poor, no donations, dingy room.
Of course.
Continuing conversations on friendship and cultivating relations.
Yeah. But in our 20s, we tend to think, like you mentioned in the first segment, right? Like the smooth walking through relationships.
Yeah.
Like,
moonwalkers of relations.
Yeah. Let me avoid all kinds of confrontation.
Yeah.
The smoother it is, the better friends we become.
Yeah.
It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
If you have friction in between, if you are willing to have that confrontation or willing to have, challenging conversations with your friends, or if you're willing to fight with them over something that is important to you, and when you make up after that, your relationship has now jumped up to another level altogether. You're no longer the same friends that you were yesterday.
Yeah.
You're completely on another level.
You're frenemies.
So it's actually the converse of what we tend to think on average in our 20s, that it should be smooth and it should be pleasant. No, actually, the more you have these honest, let's say, speed breakers along the way, the stronger, the friendship develops.
Yeah.
And anyone who wants to have longer lasting relationships in life, this is a short way to it, which is you don't avoid these kind of confrontations. You don't avoid speaking your mind. You don't avoid speaking your heart out, because you and your friend should also have that awareness that you don't break relations on a whim. If you're breaking a relationship, there better be a damn good reason for it.
Yeah, like they stole your wallet.
It has to be a deal breaker kind of a situation.
Or they didn't subscribe to ThyGap.
Exactly. You just don't break a relation because you had a fight or an argument in front of so-and-so people and you were embarrassed. Who cares?
Yeah. Or they made fun of me too much.
Nobody
they
gives
pulled my leg a lot.
Yeah. That's not what it is.
Yeah. It's not worth to disown people.
Yeah. So that's the reason why we say friction fastens friendships.
Yeah.
That example of the boxer's knuckles becoming stronger, the muscle development, it's a perfect, example or metaphor for this as well. And the reason why we say friction as well is because without friction, you would not be able to walk bare feet.
Correct.
You would not be able to do anything without friction in today's world.
You know what they say, right? Friction is a necessary evil. Or was it inertia?
It's not even an evil.
Both behave the same.
Yeah. It's a good for us. It's a necessary good.
No, it's a tough time to go through when you're having the friction.
Yeah.
Right? So, which is why we call it
which is why people want to avoid it also.
Yes, they want to fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And come on, bogus. We are all Bollywood victims.
Mm-hmm.
If you have learned anything from Bollywood, what is it? All the great love stories start with fight.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And we just convert it into Karan Johar and say friendship.
Yeah.
All great friendships start with a fight. Not Yash Chopra.
No, he was it's all about loving your family. That's it.
I think Karan Johar was the root cause for whole Fast and Furious franchise. Family.
But yeah.
Yeah. I think he has his money there also.
That's what we mean by, friction fastens friendships. And another great hack that I have to suggest for you guys is
to create the friction.
Yeah. In your 20s, if you're already, along the journey with someone and you think, oh, maybe this person could be my friend, they're ticking a few boxes,
Yeah.
but I'm still not sure. What could I do to really cement it, solidify it? It's absolutely simple. You go on a trip with them.
Yeah. Go on a low budget,
Yeah.
tight budget trip.
Tight budget trip
Ideally very far and
not too short.
not too short. Go for like a week or so at
Exactly.
least. And also go in a train. Don't go for fancy luxury. I'll
Don't
go
go
in a
for
flight.
comforts. Yeah.
Don't go for comforts. Try to just go in like the bare minimum, transport and stay and all that.
Or relatively in your own means. Like,
Whatever.
what is just about average for you?
Yeah.
Go for that.
Yeah. So if it is for like Ambani's and all, then below average.
Yeah,
way below average for you.
No,
to
there's
make
no
some
hope
good
for
friends.
them to make friends,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
that's another thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they have the luxury to trust anybody
Yeah, that's the
to
problem.
be a true friend, except for ThyGap.
All the money in the world to buy.
We don't care about the bank
No.
balance. We behave the same no matter what you're carrying in your wallet.
Ambanis, if you're listening to this, like
Yes.
friends for life, right here.
True friends for life.
True
right?
friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we mean by friction fastens friendships.
Yep.
And use travel because it's a
Great hack.
great hack.
Great hack.
A lot of things come out in travel that would never ever come out, no matter if you even if you were a roommate with them.
It should be just about long enough.
Oh yeah.
It should be just about that. This is getting a little away from my comfort zone. My leaves are getting over kind of a situation.
Exactly. Like by the end of the trip, you will have so much information
About each other. Or the group.
You'll be very clear about whether you want to continue it or not. For example, Brute and I went on a ThyGap work trip.
Oh
very
my
recently.
sweet lord. Yes, we have made a whole fuss about it on social media.
Yeah. And by the end of the trip, I realized I never want to travel with this guy again.
Same. It is a mutual,
Unless
administration.
if it was for ThyGap or work, then it would be great. But casual, no chance.
Yeah.
So
Same thing.
Travel is a great hack for this.
Travel is an amazing hack. In fact, I didn't want to go to the trip, and Bogus was like, "Let's do it."
Let's do it. I need to find out.
Yeah, and I didn't get it for quite some time. Yeah. And by the way, we were so evolved, Bogus. We didn't even need a week. We just sorted
3
out.
days, 4
Second
days,
day,
it was done.
2 days, 1 night was actually enough. More than enough.
Yeah.
The airport stay itself was like clear to us.
Yeah.
But yeah, friction fastens friendships, guys. And a hack to do that is travel. Just to, if you want to like voluntarily add some friction into it.
Yep.
But yeah, Bogus, I think there's a long laundry list that we covered.
It's a long list, yeah. But
It's
we
a long list.
went about it at a good pace.
Yeah, very good pace. We finished it off in like 18 seconds. Rest of all was like audience feedback and stuff like that. So that is it. It's not easy cultivating friendships. And like always, if you have other points that you want to share on this particular topic or any personal experiences like the amazing stories that I've shared and the boring theory that Bogus have said, write to us on our socials, the award-winning socials, quickly, Bogus. Instagram,
@_ThyGap.
Twitter and Vero.
@ThyGap.
For long stories, you can write email on
mindthygap@gmail.com.
Booyaka Shad. This is Ali G, guys. So that brings us to the end of the episode, Bogus. It is a happy parting. We don't have to sit in the same room again till
Good
next
riddance.
week. Good riddance. So, like we always say, Bogus, ThyGap podcast. Subscribe.
And share.
Cultivate sharing. Our probable next episode. Sharing, it's not easy. Cultivate it.
Will you be my friend?